Okay, here we are, turn 11. Last turn, we actually had a quite good hand and came fairly close to getting a blockade in place, but didn't quite succeed. And let's take a quick look at where ZOIs are. So you'll see that we've got a good ZOI network. The one place that we really want to finish off is Iwo Jima here. The red outlined units here as usual, that's the Japanese replacements. And looking at my replacements, it's mostly stuff that was delayed due to war in Europe, so we have the timely arrival of a couple of fresh cores along with the CVE. The Baltimore is actually the last real reinforcement that the Allies get in the game, and then I was able to plug a replacement in over here at Hancock as well. Taking a quick look at the chart, I'm up to 7 ASPs at this point. He's only got 1. Political will, as we've said before, is in a place where we're not worried about it anymore. We're in the safe zone and we're making bombing every turn, so it's not really an issue. It's basically stable at this point, and I don't have to worry about making progress of war. We did have an auto sub hit and 2 strategic bombing hits, so he's down again to 4 cards and 2 passes, and I'll have my usual 6 cards and 1 pass. Goals for this turn, roughly in order. First, I need to take out Iwo Jima. That's sort of the missing link in my ZOI net here. I'm also going to need to take out, though, the ZOIs that he's got here in Japan for 2 reasons. One is those protect the ground steps that are in Japan, so as long as they're alive, it'll be tough for me to take the ground steps out with my air and naval. But if those steps are positioned a little more southwesterly here, they can keep open a supply trace from combined fleet to other places out here. So just in general, I'm going to need to take those guys out. Then third goal is going to be to do as much damage to his ground steps in Japan as possible. And that's really sort of the prelude to trying to get ashore. And the goal would be to get ashore this turn. And if I can make some progress on the ground this turn, that's great. Otherwise, at least if I'm ashore this turn, I should be able to move forward to try and take the main island next turn. Taking a look at the hand for the turn, it's funny, things have been bouncing around really up and down. The turn before last, I had a somewhat disappointing hand. Last turn, I had a great hand, and that was really what made it possible to even have a shot at getting a blockade in place. This hand is another not so great hand. It's going to be rough to do a whole lot with this in Japan at this point. I've got exactly 1 usable military event, which is Cherry Blossom here. That's not bad. It's NEHQ for 5, so we can't complain about that one. But Black Day, unfortunately, is an air units only event, which in the mid-game can be quite useful to the Allies. At this stage, when we're getting ready to invade Japan, this is almost certainly going to get used as an OC card. Halsey replaces Gormley. This is the card that has to get played on the South HQ. Unfortunately, given the location of South HQ and the range, totally out of range to do anything in Japan, so this will just be a 1 OC at some point. The 20th Bomber Command, if we had the possibility of getting a B-29 into China, this might be interesting to pull a card, but at this point, given that I need activations, I think it's, again, almost certainly going to be used as a 3OC. And then 2 more War in Europe cards, which clearly at this stage are just going to be 2 OCs as well. And you'll recall also that I have Operation Matador left over in FO. That's another OC card. So basically, I've got 1 good event, and then I've got a whole bunch of OC cards that I'm going to have to try and figure out how to do something with this turn. With 1 real event in the hand, I decided to go ahead and use it right away here to try to take Iwo Jima. And using it on Central, I get 8 activations, so that's going to allow me to hopefully take out these other ZOIs as well. So the goal here is to use my best card right up front to try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So what happens here at Iwo Jima is that the air flotilla there goes to the dead pool. This is an auto kill on his unit there, and his roll in return flips both of my Marines here. So he had an intermediate roll on that one. He could have potentially gotten anywhere from 1 to 3 hits, and he ended up with 2. So that went more or less according to plan. This stuff up here, unfortunately, did not go according to plan. Here we are now in 45, which means we continue to have that +3 bonus, and so I would kill these guys on anything 3 or better, but there are 2 low rolls on both of these, so both of the CV and the CVL both survive. The 27th Air Flotilla is destroyed, but unfortunately with both of these guys surviving, he's going to be able to keep a ZOI neutralizer here in this area, and that's going to create some problems shortly, as you'll see. I don't think I actually mentioned that he had rolled and made intel, which allowed him to basically activate all 4 units that were being attacked. That was his choice in case any of them survived, and because he did have the CV and the CVL survive, he ends up with this positioning here, and you'll notice that the Taiyo at Osaka provides ZOI coverage here so that combined fleet can trace out through this neutralized area and provide supply and activation to any units in range down here. So this is the PBM and what it looks like, and let's see what he does with that ability. Antero plays the Central Force card as his first operation, and that allows him to activate quite a few units, and so he continues to pull folks back. And again, he's able to do this because he's got this ZOI coverage where I failed to eliminate his guys last turn. And so not only can he supply and activate units in the Philippines and the Pacific to pull back, but they've got a nice window that they can strap move through here because, again, they've got ZOI coverage to neutralize mine. So you'll see by moving folks around, juggling a little bit, and pulling folks back, he's now got ground unit coverage on every hex of the main island, which is starting to make my job look more and more difficult here. With nothing but OC cards at this point, I go ahead and play one of my War in Europes, and I've got enough CV firepower to sink the Taiyo here, so that problem goes away. And I've got a couple of extra activations, so I bring up the New Jersey and the 5th Marines to get them within a 2 OC play of pretty much any of the main island hexes in Japan. So that's one of the things you'll see me doing here as I continue to use the OC cards to snipe away 1 battle hex at a time on his ZOIs. I'll also bring up forces to get them within 2 OC range, just not knowing where I'm going to be going either the rest of this turn or next turn. You'll notice here that although I killed the Taiyo, he's still got 51st Air Flotilla, which continues to neutralize my ZOI, which means he can continue to trace out, and so he's able to bring a couple of more units back. So again, he's moving around a couple of units in Japan, and he brought back additional armies from Saipan and Leyte, and so he's just basically continuing to bolster the defense of Japan here. I play Halsey here to use the 1 OC and basically again just use CVs to take out the 51st Air Flotilla, which is an auto kill, and continuing to bring up forces of the Corps here. This is the 11th Corps that moved up from Rabaul. I go ahead and play my second War in Europe card here as an OC, and what I decided to do, because he's only got 1 support unit left that he can defend with, I decided I'm going to go ahead and attack these guys here at 3606. If you look, actually, 3606 is the only hex in the main island that does not have an intrinsic defense strength. And if we look at the units here, there's 3 steps there, there's 2 steps everywhere else except Tokyo, although Tokyo is defended. So basically I can pick any of these and go after him and have a shot at killing 2 steps if he can't react with the Amagi. I figure I could either take out the Amagi or I could start going for ground, and if he can react, I'll kill the Amagi. If he can't, I'll kill ground. So that's what I do here. This is in sort of a reserve position because it's adjacent to 4 hexes, so I decide I'm going to try and start taking that out. So I am successful there. He's not able to react. The Eastern District Army goes away. And in addition, I continue bringing up a battleship and a CV down here at Ulithi. Antero plays to FO at this point, and then my follow-on is pulling Operation Matador out of FO. I play it as a 2 OC, and again, I go after another one of the armies. In this case, he also misses with reaction, so the 37th Army is eliminated. And you'll see I'm continuing to bring forces up. So at this point, I've got max fleet forces at Ulithi. I've also got now 2 corps in a Marine division there. Those are all within 2 OC range of Japan. I've also got 2 corps in a Marine division, all full strength at Busan. And I've got 2 Marine divisions here at Iwo Jima, which are within 1 OC of Japan. Those will be able to be replaced back up to full strength before next turn. So I'm getting, and there's 1 more Marine division over here as well. So folks are moving in for the kill, but I'm still not really able to do anything because it's been such slow going with only OC cards this turn. He plays his last card here, and he uses it to move folks around. So essentially what he's doing is the reduced 16th Army is moving from Tokyo into 3606. That enables the reduced 32nd Army to move from 3606 into Kyoto, which then enables the 36th Army to move from Kyoto to Osaka. So he maintains coverage on all the hexes and makes it tougher for me to invade here because I've got ground units supporting the intrinsic defense, or he's got ground units supporting the intrinsic defense in any hex I could possibly invade. At this point, he's out of cards and I've got 2 left, and normally that would be a great situation. And how that happened is a combination of the fact that I should be able to play first and last anyway because he's down to 4 cards plus 2 passes, and I've got 6 plus 1 for 7. So that gives me a 1 card advantage. And then, if you'll recall, he actually didn't have an FO card this turn to play as well, and I did, so that gave me an extra card. So normally playing 2 cards unanswered at the end of the turn, especially late in the game like this, would be fantastic for the Allies. Unfortunately, with mediocre cards, there's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to do with it. So what I end up doing is I put Black Day, which is the event that I can't really use as an event, I just put that into FO as a card for next turn. It'll be an OC for sure, but at least it's an extra card for next turn, when hopefully I'll have some other better cards to go with it. And then I've got remaining the 20th Bomber Command, which again is just, at this point I'm going to play it as a 3 OC. And what I do with it is just go ahead and take out the Amagi, so I don't have to worry about that next turn at all. So he goes away. And then with the remaining activations, I actually grab Leyte and Taihoku here, which in 2020 hindsight may not have been the best use of those activations, but we'll see more about that next turn. And let me just say that although things don't look very good for the Allies right now, you will definitely want to come back and see the last turn, because the fortunes of war sort of flip around yet again, and it's a wild and crazy turn, and the game ends up being decided on the very last cards. So it's going to be fun to see how it turns out.